Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of the Dominion's fist, his four eyes scanning the primitive blue world that hung before his massive dreadnought. The third planet of this unremarkable system had been flagged by Imperial scouts as harboring intelligent life. Barely. According to the reports, these humans had only recently achieved basic spaceflight and nuclear fission. A routine subjugation, nothing more. "Send the standard compliance transmission," Kethvar commanded, his mandibles clicking with boredom. In his 3 centuries of service to the Galactic Empire, he had overseen the peaceful submission of over 40 species. Most took one look at his fleet of 12 dreadnoughts and immediately surrendered. The smart ones anyway. The communications officer, a slight Zephyrian with translucent skin, activated the quantum communicator. "Transmission sent, Admiral. We should receive their surrender within the standard time frame." Kethvar nodded, already mentally composing. His report to High Command. Another successful expansion of Imperial territory. Another species brought into the fold. The humans would provide adequate manual labor for the mining operations in the Outer Rim. Minutes passed, then hours. "Sir," the communications officer said, her voice uncertain, "we're receiving a response." "Finally, put it through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform. Her expression was calm, almost serene, but something in her eyes made Kethvar's primary heart skip a beat. "I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said, her voice carrying across the bridge with startling clarity. "We have received your demand for submission. Our answer is simple." She paused, and Kethvar could have sworn he saw the faintest smile cross her lips. "No." The transmission ended. Kethvar stared at the blank screen, his mandibles agape. In 3 centuries, no species had ever simply refused. There were always negotiations, pleas for mercy, desperate attempts at bargaining. Never just, "No." "Sir?" his tactical officer prompted. "Orders?" "Scan their defenses," Kethvar snapped, his composure returning. "If they want to learn the hard way, so be it." The scan results appeared on his tactical display, and Kethvar almost laughed. A few dozen primitive orbital stations, some fusion-powered vessels that barely qualified as corvettes, and what appeared to be weapon platforms scattered throughout their system. It was laughable. "Commence orbital bombardment," he ordered. "Target their major population centers, make an example of them." The Dominion's Fist and her sister ships moved into position, their massive plasma cannons charging with lethal energy. Kethvar watched with satisfaction as the weapons prepared to fire. These humans would learn that defying the Empire carried a price. The first salvo of plasma bolts lanced toward Earth's surface, followed immediately by a second and third. Kethvar allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before the tactical officer's urgent voice cut through his thoughts. "Sir, massive energy, signatures detected throughout the system." The tactical display exploded with new contacts, hundreds of them. Ships that hadn't been there moments before were suddenly appearing throughout the solar system, their hulls dark and angular, radiating heat signatures that suggested power sources beyond anything in the Empire's databases. "Impossible," Kethvar breathed. "Where did they—" His question was answered as Earth's moon suddenly split open like a flower, revealing a massive construction yard filled with warships. Similar installations revealed themselves on asteroids throughout the system, hidden bases that had been completely invisible to Imperial sensors. "Admiral?" The sensor operator's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm reading over 3,000 contacts, and sir, their energy signatures are off the charts." Admiral Chen's face appeared on the screen again, but this time she wasn't alone. Behind her, Kethvar could see what appeared to be a massive command center bustling with activity. "Did you really think," Chen said, her calm voice now carrying an edge of steel, "that a species capable of splitting atoms for war before we could even leave our own atmosphere would be unprepared for this moment? We've been watching your empire for decades, Admiral Kethvar. We know about your standard compliance procedures. We know about the 43 species you've enslaved." Kethvar's blood ran cold. How could they possibly know his name? His service record? Humanity has had a very different approach to space exploration than most species, Chen continued. While others reached for the stars seeking peace and knowledge, we reached for them expecting war. Every ship you see, every weapon platform, every orbital defense grid, we built them all with one purpose in mind: to ensure that when the day came that someone tried to take our freedom, we would be ready to remind the galaxy why you should never, ever, pick a fight with a species that considers mutually assured destruction a viable military strategy. The human fleet began to move, their ships flowing through space with a grace that spoke of advanced technology and extensive training. Energy readings spiked across Kethvar's displays as weapon systems he couldn't even identify began to power up. "All ships, emergency retreat," Kethvar commanded, but it was too late. The humans fired. The display filled with light as weapons unlike anything in Imperial arsenals opened fire. Ships that had taken decades to build were torn apart in seconds by focused gravitational fields, antimatter streams, and energy weapons that seemed to bend space itself. The Dominion's fist shuddered as her shields failed catastrophically, alarms blaring throughout the bridge. "Sir, we've lost 6 ships. The humans. They're not targeting our weapons or engines." The tactical officer screamed over the chaos. "They're going for total destruction." Kethvar watched in horror as his mighty fleet, the pride of the Empire's third sector, was systematically annihilated by an enemy that shouldn't have existed. These weren't supposed to be warriors. They were supposed to be primitives, easily conquered and enslaved. As his flagship died around him, Admiral Kethvar finally understood the terrible truth. Humanity hadn't just refused to submit to the Galactic Empire. They had been preparing to submit it to them. The last thing he saw before the bridge erupted in flame was Admiral Chen's face on the screen, no longer calm, no longer serene. She was smiling, and her eyes burned with the fire of a species that had learned to wage war before they had learned to dream of peace. "Welcome to Earth, Admiral," she said. "We hope you enjoyed your stay."